It's a huge week of the Texas high school football playoffs. The regional semifinals are upon us. They start on Friday. Of course, we'll be off tomorrow and Friday. And who better to talk about the giant weekend ahead?
Nobody.
Than Matt Stepp, DCTF High School Football Insider, joining us. Matt, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to both of you boys. Lots of turkey and pie in your future, I'm sure.
It certainly is. There's a lot. There's a lot of I think food in my future. All right, so Matt, there is a huge slate of games this week. I would say almost unprecedented group of regional semifinal games this week.
It's pretty awesome.
I know that you are a guy who travels around. You travel around the state, and you can go to any game in the state. Obviously, you also have, I don't know, like a family and a job, so you can't necessarily do every game all the time. I'm going to put you on the spot. You can go to one game this weekend anywhere in the state, but only one. Which one are you going to?
Oh, it's Allen and San Angelo.
Okay.
That's no brainer. It's Allen and San Angelo Central, which I'm a little jealous Max is going. So.
Yeah, that'll be pretty great.
So I feel like this is a good jumping off point. We had someone ask, what's the one game you'd be at this weekend? I think we all agree it's that one. I will be at that game. So everyone in the comments, I'm super excited to see all of you. Come say hi while I'm there. I'm so excited about this Allen San Angelo game.
Can I be a real jerk and go off the board?
All right.
What about Cedar Park Manville?
That's a good one.
I'm really interested in this
really
game.
Good too. I think Craven's going, right?
Yeah, and
Mike Craven will be there.
I'll tell you that again, you can't go wrong with any of these top tier games. But Manville Cedar Park has been flying so far under the radar. I really think that Cedar Park's the best defense Manville has seen this year. Yeah. I think that's going to give them a lot. I think that's going to give Manville more trouble than they're used to.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this is very quietly flying under the radar because of all the talk about Katy and North Shore and San Angelo Central and Allen. But Matt, I want to ask you about Central and Allen. That game's going out there. For you, how big of a deal is it that Allen has to go to San Angelo on Friday?
I think it's definitely a factor. I tend to maybe give that about a 7-point kind of swing to San Angelo, just because, not from the crowd perspective. Allen has played in front of big crowds; they're used to that. It'll be a little bit different that most of the crowd will be cheering against them, but there's something to be said for having to get on a bus and go, 300 miles or whatever it is, and then get off the bus, try to get loose and play. I mean, Allen's going down, from what I understand, Friday morning, so I mean, there's a chance they're a little bit sluggish, and if you're not used to that kind of thing, there's definitely a factor there. And I think if San Angelo would have had to come to Allen, I think it would have been a factor, but not near as big because San Angelo does it all the time.
I think that's exactly right. Remember, the longest that Allen has traveled this year is last week when they drove to Mesquite, which is 30 minutes away. So I think that's a big factor. A
little bit different.
A big factor. I want to ask you about a couple other games. Katy and Galena Park North Shore. This is just the third time in state history we will have a meeting of defending 6A state champs in the playoffs. Do you have a feel for this game? I feel like this is going to be a very physical, defensive-minded game. Do you have a feel of how Katy and North Shore is going to go?
First one to 10 wins, probably.
It could be.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a slugfest. I mean, both. I'm really interested to see how DeAndre Glass, if he plays, and how close to 100% he is, because I think Katy needs a 100% DeAndre Glass to really move the ball against that really good North Shore defense. At the same token, North Shore's I think they're going to struggle moving the ball against Katy. It's going to come down. North Shore, they don't have a real big bruising back. They have more scat backs. So I think it's going to come down to Bryant Beatty, and the dual threat quarterback from North Shore. He's committed to Louisiana Monroe. I think it's going to come down to him and how well he plays in that game. If he can do things with his legs and make the throws needed to beat Katy, North Shore's got a great shot. I thought Katy impressed me last week, being able to throw the ball a little bit more than usual once Glass went out against Cy Ranch. So I just barely lean towards Katy in this one, but it's one of those pick 'em coin flip type games that can go either way.
It is. It's a pick 'em game in my mind. This is another week. This is, of course, the third week of the playoffs. Down south is traditionally known as Valley Week, where the teams from the Rio Grande Valley and Laredo will go and play teams from San Antonio or maybe from Austin, play teams from major metropolitan areas. Generally speaking, this is when the teams from Laredo or from the Valley tend to bow out of the playoffs. Is there a team that you think could surprise people from Laredo or from the Rio Grande Valley and could move on to a regional final?
Got two.
Okay.
First one, I think, let's give it up for La Maquina. I think Ed Couch Elsa has a very good shot against Victoria East. In fact, I think this is a 50-50 pick-em type game. Ed Couch has played really well. Their playoff experience. You look at the kind of common thread that these two teams have. Ed Couch beat Edinburgh Vela, and Vela beat Victoria East in overtime to open the season up. So at least from that, you're thinking, okay, Ed Couch, can play with Victoria East. Obviously, Victoria East, very explosive on offense. Bradley Zappi, I'm not sure how he pronounce his last name, but he's put up huge numbers. El Paso High transfer Trey Wolf has been a huge addition to their offense. He's really given them an extra weapon out wide, really dynamic on offense for Victoria East. But, Ed Couch, they really seem to turn it on come playoff time, and they do a great job. I think this is kind of a pick-em game. And then if you're looking for really kind of off the radar, Laredo, the Valley's had, I think, in history, 14 teams advance past round 3 in history. Laredo's never had one. I mean, never has a Laredo team advanced past the third round. I think United South has a puncher's chance against Churchill. Churchill's not real dynamic offensively. They're both kind of, Jordan Billups, their quarterback, has been battling injuries. Derek Perez has stepped in and done a nice job filling in, but Churchill's not going to blow you away with offense. So this is a game that United South, the style they play, which is very similar, ground and pound, tough defense. I think they can hang in this game. It's in Laredo, so they're going to have a huge crowd on their side, and maybe they kind of pull the upset here. So I think those are the two that I'm really keeping an eye on down in Region 4.
In that same vein, we had a reader question here. Steele's really struggled. And is there any chance you guys could see Weslaco East pulling off an upset? I mean, 17-0 against Vandergrift was a big surprise. But I think the 0 is the important part there.
I want to be clear about I want to correct you, I don't know if the reader or you.
Okay.
Steele has struggled a little bit offensively.
Yeah.
But that defense continues to mow people down.
The 0 is the important part.
And for me, until somebody breaks through that defense, Steele is the team to beat in Region 4. Now, you know, they'll get a challenge this week, I think, against a pretty good Weslaco East team. But Steele will be favored specifically because of the defense. That's my thoughts on it, Matt.
Yeah.
And, Steele, they're notorious. You look at their history in the past. They're notorious for doing just enough to win and then really kind of taking their foot off the gas. And I think they've been kind of, Xavier Martin, his ankle, he's not 100%. I mean, that ankle, if you ask me, he's probably going to need surgery at some point. He's not 100%. And I think they're really kind of trying to baby him through the playoffs and kind of try to limit what he does as much as they can until they really, really need him. And you wonder, last week against Vandergrift, the wind was howling. It was the wind was really, if you were going against the wind, you really weren't going to do anything throwing the football. So you just wonder if they kind of felt like our defense is completely shutting them down until we need to do something. We're going to kind of just be really, really super conservative here and just try to get out of here with the win. Weslaco East, again, their style, ground. I saw them last week. They're very physical. That they're not real big, but they really play tough. They like to run the football. They're not going to take a lot of chances throwing the ball. You wonder if they can maybe try to control the clock and keep the Steele offense off the field.
Sure. The
difference in these kind of games is against lesser opponents. Weslaco East is able to control the clock because those 3 and 4 yards and a cloud of dust are working for them, and they're able to move the chains. But against a better team like Steele, those 3 and 4 yard gains turn into 0 and 1 yard gains, and you're having 3 and outs, and you're constantly 3rd and 7, and then they're behind the chains and they're having to punt. So I think Steele handles East. I don't think it'll be a 60-0 kind of game, but I definitely see Steele 35-7, 28-0, one of those kind of games where it's not going to be real eye-popping. They're just going to do just enough to win and then move on to the next round.
We're talking with Matt Stepp, DCTF High School Insider here on DCTF Live. Get involved in the conversation at hashtag DCTF Live. Remember, ask your questions down here in the comments of Facebook Live. We will answer as many as we can starting in a couple of minutes. But, Matt, I want to ask you about maybe the most under-the-radar region in the state. It's Region 3 of the 5A Division II bracket, and I think we've got two really, really fascinating matchups here. A&M Consolidated takes on Fort Bend Marshall Friday night at NRG Stadium, and then College Station and Port Neches Groves go at it in Baytown. These are two games that I think, for all the talk about Katy, North Shore, and all the talk about Allen and Central, these are two games that are flying right under the radar.
Yeah, Fort Bend Marshall really impressed me last week. They really took it to Crosby. Jumped out to a big lead on them. Crosby had some really tough time with Marshall's running back and their speed. A&M Consolidated is very, very good on the defensive side of the ball. They're battle-tested in a tough district. The only question with Consolidated is, are they going to be able to score enough points against really good teams to advance? But I'm still not 100% buying on Fort Bend Marshall yet. So I really like Coach Raffield and the Tigers in this one. I think we're kind of setting up for an all-College Station regional final because on the other side of that bracket, I love College Station High. They're Marquez Perez has stepped in at quarterback and has just been phenomenal. They've been a machine on the offensive side of the ball, and I know P&G has a great young quarterback, Rashawn Johnson, who I think is going to end up being one of the more highly recruited players in the state before it's all said and done. But College Station's got a lot of experience. They're very senior heavy. And they're getting, I'll be interested to see how, if at all, they try to work Ty Brock back in the end of the lineup this week. So, but Perez is, it's almost, equated to the Cowboys a little bit, where they're so successful with Prescott and, Romo's back. But they, are they going to try to upset that balance by putting Brock in, or is he just going to be kind of the backup to Perez?
Does the PNG crowd have an impact in that game for you guys? I mean, they travel better than just about any fan base.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be wild, but I will say I think College Station's played in front of wild crowds before.
Yeah.
And so
PNG's that's at Stallworth, and that's not that far from the Beaumont Port Arthur area where PNG is located. So I think it may have a slight impact. I think PNG will pack their side of the stadium for sure. But College Station's been here before. Like you said, they've played in front of big crowds. They've been in crazy atmospheres before. They've won at Temple, and that gets pretty crazy in Temple. If you've ever done a Friday night game at Temple, it gets pretty wild with the blue front, white back crowd. So I think it'll be a high scoring game. I like College Station, by a touchdown or so. I think the winner will be in the 40s, maybe even the 50s. It'll be a wild one.
All right, now I'm going to put all three of us on the spot here, and I'll go first so you guys have time to think about it. I'm going to make you pick one game, 4A and below, that you're most interested in in this week.
Okay.
I will start 7 p.m. Saturday in Hico, Texas, as the Richland Springs Coyotes take on Calvert in six-man action, 1A Division II. Richland Springs has been a killing machine. They're the best six-man team in the state, but I think that Calvert is their biggest chance. If they are going to lose, it's going to be here. This is a very good Calvert team. They're very dangerous. I believe this is number 1 and number 2 in our 1A Division II rankings. This is going to be an absolute war. Really excited to see who comes out of the Region 4 final in 1A Division II. Max, who's your small school game you've got to see?
I'm tempted to pick Iran Albany because I just love 2A D2 and 2A that region 2 and especially, but it's got to be Henderson and Carthage.
Oh yeah,
it's got to be Henderson and Carthage. And we actually had one reader ask why all three of us picked Carthage, right? Because Henderson has the stars for sure. Did you pick Henderson?
I picked Henderson.
You picked it. So Craven picked Carthage.
Yeah.
Greg picked Henderson. I picked Carthage because coaching. I trust Scott Surratt to find a way, and it's tough to beat a team twice in 1 year. That's why.
I think it's a coin flip.
That's where I lean to, Max, as well. Yeah. That's why my logic on Carthage as well. And Gabe Brooks threatened to kill me.
That too. Yeah. That'll happen. All right. What about you, Matt? You got to pick one game 4A and below that you're most interested in.
Well, I was going to say Albany Iran, but then Max he mentioned it. He didn't pick it. I think that's going to be a fantastic game. I'm going to go with Rockdale and Malakoff.
Yes,
in the
most
brutal
off-the-radar
region,
game.
3A Division I.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's really talking about it, but man, that game is shaping up. Malakoff, Judd Miller at quarterback, QT Barker at receiver. They've put up crazy good numbers, but I think the Rockdale defense will definitely be their biggest test of the year. I think that's a great game. I think it's Friday at Waco ISD. It's a really good weekend of football in Waco. You could probably just park in Waco all week and just watch all weekend and watch games on Friday and Saturday, which I will be in Waco on Saturday. So
nice.
I plan on joining you.
Which game are you going to in Waco, or which games?
The first game I'm going to do Campbell and Round Rock over at Waco ISD.
Yeah.
And then Saturday night, I'll mosey on over to McLean Stadium for Austin Bowie in the Woodlands. So Danny Davis cannot accuse me of having a Austin area bias anymore. Though saw Austin last week with Dripping Springs, and I'm getting 2 Austin teams this week. So we love the 5-1-2.
He is Matt Stepp. He is the high school football insider for Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Follow him on Twitter at Matt_SteppPapa817. Stepp, appreciate your time, buddy. Happy Thanksgiving, and enjoy the football weekend.
Thanks, boys. Happy Thanksgiving to y'all.
All righty, there he goes. Matt Stepp, DCTF High School Football Insider.